and all the way to the marriage and even the relationship after marriage, best practices. Even Islam speaks about this relationship between husband and wife continue until the day of judgment. That the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran as well, that those who believe, ألحقنا بهم ذرياتهم وما ألتناهم من أعمالهم وما ألتناهم من أعمالهم من شيء. That those who believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will join them with their families in the day of judgment, and it will not decrease from their reward. So in another word, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have emphasis in the importance of the concept of marriage. خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة. Have created from among yourselves as spouses, that you might dwell with them in tranquility and peace, and to live a life filled with what Allah said. جعل بينكم مودة ورحمة. This life should be based on love and mercy. Love and mercy. In another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that one of His favors upon prophets and messengers, that He have granted them families. He have encouraged them to get married and to have children. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلًا مِّن قَبْلِكَ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ أَزْوَاجًا وَذُرِّيَّةً. That's one of the sign of being a human being. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He want to distinguish between who's human and who's the creation and the creator, the divine, which is Allah, and the indivine, which is human being, who's not a divine, in their qualities, He said that human beings need a spouse, need a partner, need a children, need a family, versus God. That's why God have no wife, no children, have no family, because He is the creator. As for us as a human being, we need that partnership. Something natural, something shows that we are in need of it. That's why we're not a divine, we're not divine, because we need partner, he or she. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها. Adam alayhi salam, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him, he was lonely in the beginning. Then Adam, after that, Allah created for him, or from him and for him, his spouse, Eve. So they will be partners, so he will not be alone. And it's so ironic how the relationship was defined in the Quran. The Quran referred to it as azwaj, like a spouse for him and for her. This relationship was not just a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of relationship, or just, to enjoy her physically. No, that's not how the Quran described the relationship between Adam and Eve. It's a spouse. They were married to each other, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala married them to each other. Al-Quran encourages us to get married if we're not. فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ. And that's an order. A Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam once, in his time, 3 men came, and they say, oh, the Prophet ﷺ married, the Prophet ﷺ sleeps, the Prophet ﷺ, he doesn't fast every day. So 3 of them, one of them decided not to break his fast. He will fast every single day in his life. And the other person said, I will never marry in my life. I don't want to be busy with family, with anyone other than God. I'm going to devote my life to God. Became like a monk who do nothing in his life but just worshiping God, and he will not have a family. That's how he thought that it means to be righteous and pure. And the third one said, I will never sleep in the night. I will spend my whole night praying. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he heard about these 3, he said, that's not how our religion based. Our religion, there is no extreme in it. Even when it comes to the relationship between you and your Creator, it has to be a moderate, something natural. Okay, so the Prophet ﷺ said, those don't belong to me. Those 3, they don't belong to my sunnah. قال من رغب عن سنتي فليس مني. Those who stay away, or those who goes against and oppose my way, don't belong to me. Don't belong to me. I fear the God. I fear Allah the most. I know Him more than anyone else. إني لأعلمكم بالله وأخشاكم له وأتقاكم له وأشدكم له خشية. I know Him more than anyone else, and I fear Him more than anyone else. I respect Him more than anyone else. وإني لأصوم وأفطر. And some days I will fast, and some day I will break my fast. I will eat like in irregular days. Some days in the night I will sleep and I will pray in the night. And also he said, and I marry. So those who leave my sunnah don't belong to my nation, don't belong to my nation. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu ardah, once after his wife passed away, he married again. So they were asking, you're an old man, what is you're interested in marriage? He said, well, I'm not interested in marriage for the sexual meaning of it. Because he said, I have no interest in that, I'm too old for that. But the only reason I get married again, because I prefer to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a married person, not as single. قال لا أريد أن ألقى الله عزبا. Because the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when you get married, you complete half of your deen, And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam especially encouraged young men. He said, يا معشر الشباب, O young men and young women, من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج. Those who are capable, have the ability to get married, they should get married, because that will help them to protect their chastity. And if they could not, if they don't have the means to do so, the Prophet ﷺ said they should fast. You should fast. And this hadith reported by Bukhari or Muslim. He said ﷺ, in this life, in this worldly life, the most beloved thing to him, is his wives. Is his spouse sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. الدنيا متاع وخير متاعها المرأة الصالحة حبب إلي من دنياكم النساء يعني أزواجه صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وجعلت قرة عيني في الصلاة. But the thing that his heart will feel complete rest in it when he prayed to his Lord صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. When Allah revealed this verse, الذين يكنزون الذهب والفضة, those who collect gold and silver and hide it and keep it at home. The Prophet ﷺ said, do you know what is better than having gold and silver at your home? They said, what? He said, it's better than having at home a gold and silver is to have a righteous spouse, a righteous good spouse. قال خير ما يكنز المؤمن زوجة مؤمنة تعينه على إيمان. The best thing that you can ever have, that ever can get your back, can protect you, a righteous spouse, someone who will help you to be better. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that to those who seek marriage, Allah have promised to help and to aid them. Because such a valuable thing. This is a very important concept. And unfortunately, so many statistics today in the United States, here in America, we're seeing a decline of the number of marriages. Decline in the number of marriages. If you compare the number of marriages that we have now, it picked up a little bit. I was looking into the numbers. It picked up in the 80s and early 90s, but it started declining again. The percentage of people who are getting married, and that's not a good sign. And worse than that is the rate of divorce is picking up, is getting up high. It's estimated, and by the way, all of us here in America, we share that. There is no difference between one community and another, Muslim community or non-Muslim community. Everybody shares the same challenge, which is the rate of divorce is going very up high. It's estimated it's over 30% of marriages end up with divorce. And I can tell you, as an imam in this masjid, we do have a high rate of divorce. And it's interesting to know that the rate of divorce is picking up not only among young men and young women, it is also among older men and older women. And it's picking up. And unfortunately, it is something that, a challenge that we need to face and to deal with, because a society that have a shaking foundation cannot grow strong. You know, this man was traveling in the airplane, and he had his wedding ring and his basically the wrong finger. So the person next to him noticed that, and he told him, I'm just wondering, why do you have your wedding ring in the wrong finger? He said, because I'm married to the wrong wife. I mean, it is so bad. It is so bad that it is this, and can you say, maybe to joke, or you can say this is the wrong husband as well. But the point here is, what you don't want to know, what do you want to have? You know, I'm not against divorce as a solution. Islam give this as a solution, where there is no way to reconciliate between husband and wife. It's a solution, but it's the last option. It should be rushed to, not to be the first thing today. Young couples who comes here for the first challenge, they're willing to break the relationship and to turn back to each other. But also I'm completely against being together in marriage and it's not working out. It's not working out. You know, that's a recipe of disaster. There is nothing to force you to be in such a relationship. So here, what I would like to say today, especially summer is coming, and I know a lot of people get married in summer in our community, and mashallah, we have a good number of young men and women in our community getting married. But it is so important to know how to find the right one. You know, I'm not going to be talking today to you about where to find the right person, because where it is very different from one culture, one person to another. You know, your hunting ground is so different and vary from one household to another. But you know what, that's not really my point. My point is, what I would like to emphasize on today is how to find the right one. How can you look for the person, and how can you know that this is the right person for me or not? Because choosing the right spouse is very important. That's what, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bi'idhnillah, by the will of Allah, will guarantee for you a good future in your marital relationship. Once a father came with his daughter to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I want you to imagine this is more than 1,400 years ago in Arabia, in a very tribal society, whereas usually at that time, before the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, women, they don't have much to say, not in Arabia, anywhere in the world. But Islam have changed that culture, that women have rights, and you know what, it has to be protected. So this father came with his young girl to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, my daughter, she is giving me a hard time. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said to his daughter, looked at her and looked at the father, kind of asking, what's the problem? Then the father said, I have brought for her so many proposals. قال قد خطبت لها أفاضل الناس أفاضل قريش. I brought to her the best men of Quraysh, and everyone proposed to her. She kept saying no, no, no to them. Then the Prophet ﷺ told her, why are you giving your father a hard time? What is it? Then she said, Ya Rasulullah, I don't want to marry anyone unless I know exactly what I'm going to be, what kind of person I'm going to be married to, or what is my rights are, and what is his rights are, and so forth. So she started explaining and expressing. She's the young girl, she's saying, Ya Rasulullah, I'm not going to get married to someone basically I don't want. Then the Nabi ﷺ explained to her what's the right of the husband upon his wife, and what's the right of the wife upon her husband. Then after that, the Prophet looked at the father, he said to her, don't ever marry her without her permission. Don't ever marry her without her permission. That's why when Al-Khansa, she came to the Prophet ﷺ, she said, Ya Rasulullah, my older brother have married me to this man without my permission. The Prophet ﷺ nullified the marriage contract, and he separated them from each other. And he told her, it is up to you if you want to continue this marriage or not. But I'm not. He basically broke the marriage contract. If you want to marry him, just marry him in a new contract with your permission. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also told us that people seek different qualities in the spouse that they're looking for. Even though the hadith speak about men, but it applies to men and women, which is people look at the beauty of the girl, or how handsome the man is. And guys, you know what? You have to know that. You're not the only one looking for beauty here. They're looking for handsome and as well. So many men and families, they talk about very high standard of beauties, and you know what? You need to know that they are looking for the same quality as well. So make sure that you have what it takes to be called a very handsome man if you're looking for a very beautiful girl. Anyway, so here people look for beauty, looking for wealth, looking for social status, looking for لجمالها وحسبها ومالها. So people looking for things like this. Today people looking for, as I said, education background. People look for different reasons. The Prophet ﷺ جعل هذا ضرب مثال وليس تحديد. And Nabi ﷺ just give example of what's commonly at that time. Then he said, and people look for righteousness. And he said, so اظفر بذات الدين تربت يداك. Make sure that you marry the one who's righteous. Marry the person who is righteous. Why? Because righteous person, as Al-Hasan, the grandson of the Prophet ﷺ, once said, قال إن أحبها أكرمها وإن كرهها لم يظلمها. Righteous person, a person who fears God, will never ever abuse your daughter, will never abuse your sister, will never abuse his wife. If he doesn't like her, they will separate in peace. He will never be nasty divorce cases as we hear sometimes. And if he likes her, she will be inside his heart and on the top of his head. That's a righteous person. And also the Prophet ﷺ said, من أتاكم من ترضون دينه وخلقه فزوجوه. Those who you like, their character and their religion, their piety, marry them to your, marry them. So here the Prophet ﷺ, even character is part of the religion, part of your identity as a Muslim, you have a good character. But the Prophet ﷺ emphasis on it and mention it by itself because character is bigger than just being religious. I'm going to tell you, I have seen a lot of religious people, unfortunately, are very bad husbands. Not because you are, as they say, man of God, it means you are a good man in character. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It should be. But we are human beings. We're not looking for perfect. I mean, religious people not supposed to be perfect, infallible. We are all human beings, make mistakes. But here what is important to look for a good match. And this is basically my first and most important point to keep in mind. Look for a good match. Look for someone, especially in the character. You know, I had a couple came to me once, and they have a problem with each other. So I was talking to the guy. He is from a certain region in Eastern Europe, Eastern European, and very active, very strong the way he talks. He speaks very fast, okay, and get angry quickly when he's talking, like you get in 3-4 times just in one session. And in the other end, his wife, man, she is so calm. She is so slow. She barely speaks 3 letters in 1 minute, not the 3 words. 3 letters. Like I'm serious. It takes her a long time to talk. I myself got a little bit irritated because, like, you know, but that's her nature. So when you find 2 completely opposite of each other in the way they talk, the way they communicate, how do you think they're going to communicate with each other? And it ended up with divorce. You know, they said opposite attract. I don't believe in that at all when it comes to character. It could work, and I find it working in physical appearance. You know, a lot of people, mashallah, he's skinny, he like big spouse. He's tall like short. This is common. You know, black like white like maybe in physical appearance. But character, it's absolutely not true. As a matter of fact, number 1 reason for successful marriage is a good matching in character. And in not only character, in every area, even religious. I would never recommend you, if you are a very high religious person or very religious person, to marry someone who is in religiosity not that strong. Or someone who she said, oh, he's going to change me, or I'm going to change her. You know, if the difference is so huge between them, that's a recipe of failure in my experience and of seeing that. As well as education, age, you know, interest. The more there is matching in every area of your life, the more that there is possibilities or the more chance that your marriage will be successful. Number 2. Don't ever cheat. Don't ever lie. Don't ever hide something, especially when you're looking for someone. That's a recipe for disaster. Don't ever hide your financial status or situation. You know, I get married, and after they get married, by the way, I have a $50,000 debt. Oh, great. You start your marriage with just lying. You know, don't, everything about you say. Don't claim something you're not. Don't claim that you have a job, or worse than that, people even, they cheat, they claim that they have a citizenship. And after that said, oh, I don't have a citizenship, I just, hopefully, I was thinking about in the future, inshallah, sweetheart, when I will be a citizen through you. Why didn't you tell me that before marriage? Maybe that's what, don't ever hide anything, especially health issues, okay? People, for example, feel shy. Maybe they have mental health issues. You know, you have to disclose this. You have to mention it. That's why I love it in Islam. And this is, by the way, it's a very unique thing as a jurist when I study it. Islam defined, and this is modern world today, defined religion the same way we defined it 1,400 years ago. We defined marriage as a contract. We define marriage as a contract because anything applied to contract should apply to marriage contract. It has to be disclosed, you have to be honest, you have to put everything in front of the other party. Also, one of the things is about telling about, one thing that I think it's worth mentioning, the past. A lot of people, when they look for marriage, what about the past? The past is the past unless it's something can affect you in the future. And it's telling you there is things in the past that will never go away. Like, for example, you've been convicted, or you have been listed in certain list, or with government agencies, or things in the past, maybe drugs, or things like this. You have to disclose, even if you repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from it. But any personal sins gone and is not going to come up in the future, there is no need for exposing your sin in front of the other person, Also, one of the things that I want to cite, that in Islam we don't have a relationships out of marriage, and I mean all this boyfriend, girlfriend, dating, that's not allowed in Islam. But it doesn't mean also that, you know what, I just don't know the person at all and just marry someone I have never seen or heard of. No, we don't agree on that as well. We say that there is a guidelines. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَلَا تُوَعِدُهُنَّ سِرًّا. You're not allowed to meet in secret, in private. You know, you're not allowed to speak with language which is not proper when you talk to each other. It should not be khalwa, where there is no supervision, or there is no a third party, or in isolated places. That will not be allowed, Also, one of the things that is very important for those who are seeking and looking for a spouse for themselves or helping their children, a lot of people focus on one quality and they forget about the rest. Human beings don't only possess one quality. Yani, I look only for one thing. I want him, for example, some people, pretty. This guy came to me last week, I was traveling, and told me, Sheikh, is it allowed for me to look for a wife? I said, I mean, you don't need to ask us. Yes. He said, no, I mean, I go to the masjid, I go to these places where, you know, Starbucks, wherever the people go, and I look for a wife. And I just asked myself, how would you look for a wife like that? He said, just I like her, if I like her, I will go propose to her. I said, that's it? So all what he cares about how she looks like, that's not how you find. Maybe I'm saying it's important to make sure that physically you attract to the person. That's why in Islam, it is not allowed for you to say, you're not allowed to see my daughter, or I put hijab in front of you and if you come to propose to my daughter. No, in Islam you should see the bride before engagement, before marriage. She see him, so they will feel comfortable with each other. They talk to one another. But what I'm trying to say, to focus on one quality. I want someone who has high education. That's it. No, people are more than just one quality. Also, I would like to say that a lot of people fail or be deceived by what I call love from the first sight. Love from the first sight is not always right. Keep that in mind. Love from the first sight is not always right. It might happen. That chemistry, that's fine. But it can be very deceiving, One more point I would like to end with the first khutbah is, there is a concept a lot of young men and a lot of young women say he or she is the only one. She get to know a little bit the person, he need to get to her a little bit, and she became the only one, and he became the only one. Sometimes people like myself, or children or parents, I see some of them smiling, you know what, we think that this is silly, you know, but you know what, the young people, they don't see it that way. They really feel that way, that even though logically they know that this is not the only one, but emotionally that's how you feel. And usually this has happened because of haram things been done during the process. And I want to say there is no such thing as called the only one. I know how attached you could be to someone, but the only one, I believe, happened after marriage. When you marry someone, this is the only one in my life. But before marriage, just get to know the person. There is no such thing called, he can be bad, he can be good, he can be replaced. Because marriage is just bigger than the initial emotions that we feel. Marriage is bigger than just the feeling that we might have toward each other. Marriage is a responsibilities. That's why when a woman came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, what do you think of so-and-so as a husband for me? What did the Prophet ﷺ said? قَالَ الصُّعْلُوكَ لَا مَالَ لَهُ. He's a loser, have no money. How are you going to open a house? You know, how are you going to spend money? How are you going to take care of your family? Or, you know, so there is other things has to be looked at when it comes to the marital relationship. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ja'alna wa iyyakum muwaffaqin. أقول ما سمعتم وأستغفر الله لي ولكم استغفر. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وبعد. My brothers and sisters, it is also sad that a lot of people when it comes to marriage are very materialistic. Very materialistic. You know, there's family, I asked a father to marry his daughter to one of my students once. So I talked to the father, and the father said, yeah, but he's not a doctor. I said, so what? I said, he's an earning person, man, he's, you know, it's okay, he's a geek, but, you know, he's a good man, with all my respect to my IT guys here. So I said, he's still a good man. He said, no, I have 5 daughters, all of them married to doctors, and she's the 6th. I said, okay, what, you planning to open a hospital? What is that? You know, to me, only doctor. He said, I want to secure her financial future. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. If they are poor, but see, the Prophet ﷺ didn't say he's poor. He said he's a loser. He's a person who doesn't have a job, who doesn't keep a job. There is a difference between someone who's not maybe rich, but he's a hard-working person. You know what? I would never mind that person. Hard-working person, earning person. But someone who's a loser, even if he's rich, I would never recommend such a person like that. A person who's mediocre in his life. So that's one. Also, one of the things that is very important for you to keep in mind is that I said it earlier, the righteousness, the deen. You know, so many times we forget about the importance of a person that fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a person who will help you to be blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a person who will continue this journey with you to even after this life, اظفر بذات الدين تربت يداك. Also in Islam is not allowed to propose to someone who's already been proposed to, a male or a female. A girl cannot go give a hint to a family, oh, I like your daughter or your son or something like that, while she knows that this boy or this young man already proposed or thinking about somebody else. Same thing, if you know one brother proposed to a girl, you're not allowed to go to propose over his proposal. And the ulama said this is applied to everyone. Even the ulama, Nawawi rahimahullah for example, said even if, let's say, he said there's no difference between he's a righteous or he's fasiq, he's a Muslim or kafir. Yani let's say you're proposing to a girl who's not a Muslim, Christian girl for example, and you know someone proposed to her, you're not allowed to propose over his proposal. Why? Because this creates animosity in the society. We're supposed to be big one family. If they love each other and go with each other, good. There's no need for me to confuse them. Finally, in Islam, we have something called Salatul Istikhara. You pray Istikhara. And also you make Istishara, you consult, you ask. I'm sad when I feel sad. Actually, I feel sad when I hear about things doesn't go good, and if there is a little bit of consultation before the marriage happened, a lot of problem would have been avoided. Because we don't consult. That's one of the most important steps to do. Consult, ask about why you think Islam said the girl has to have a wali, has to have a father, has to have because he traveled, he goes and he investigates and he asks. Not because he controls her, no, because he has a responsibility to go to ask about the guy, to investigate about the guy. That's the role, to ask and consult. Finally, pray istikhara, ask Allah, make a lot of prayer and dua that Allah guide you. But don't ever think that istikhara is, hey, I pray istikhara, I feel good about it, that's why I married her. No, habibi. That's not enough. You should look and study and analyze and see the good match. And istikhara, it's a dua that Allah bless your choice, but Allah will never choose for you. You choose for yourself. Because you bear the responsibility of your choice in the end of the day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give all of us happy marriages. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our family, our children, and grant them a happy marriage. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you all, forgive all our sins. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والمال والأهل والولد. اللهم يا رب هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولمن له حق علينا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا حي يا قيوم. نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. وصل اللهم وسلم على